Gee, he seems kind of different somehow.
Come on, we've got to help him.
Hey, this is Jeff Haynes, the now infamous editor of IGN PlayStation Team, and you're watching the video review of Kingdom Hearts 2. I've been reading a lot of the emails and reading the board posts, and one of the things that I want to do in this video review is kind of explain exactly why the game got a 7.6, particularly from my view, since I'm the one that played it, but also giving you a background of exactly where the other editors in the office are. Those of us who've played the game all agree that the game is beautifully presented. The worlds that you adventure through and the characters, the plot line, especially the story elements that you find in Kingdom Hearts 2 are definitely well presented and are a step above the original and that of Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories. Particularly if you happen to have played those first two games, you'll have a leg up on everybody else because Kingdom Hearts 2 ties in a large amount of the storylines from the first two games in this one and answers a lot of questions that you might have had. People that are just coming to the series by way of Kingdom Hearts 2 may find themselves a little bit lost, particularly in the beginning, thanks to the expository cuts, some of the flashback sequences, and some of the other plot devices that are done. However, later on, a lot of it starts to get slowly tied together, and if you happen to be really, really confused, you can always kind of rely on Jiminy Cricket's journal, which has been definitely expanded and is a much needed and much improved resource for any player that is going through the game. We also think that, the game sounds great, and it really has a number of advances that makes it a lot better in some ways than the original. For instance, the camera is much, much better. As opposed to using the left 2 and right 2 buttons on the controller, it's now tied to the right thumbstick. And this allows you to essentially rotate the camera in any place that you need it to be. It's not entirely perfect. You'll still find yourself losing the camera with a fast-moving enemy, or if you're having a combat near a wall or another obstacle, and the camera will wind up getting caught on those things. But for the most part, the camera is highly, highly improved. Another section that fans really hated in the first game, and understandably so, was the gummy ship sections, which were slow, very plodding, and you only really needed them to transition from one world to the other. In Kingdom Hearts 2, it's really been revamped with a Panzer Dragoon-style feel to the gameplay. In that sense, you have a much faster-paced, action-packed sequence where you are literally fighting against a large amount of ships, gun emplacements, bosses, and other objects that are essentially being thrown at you. Fortunately, you can paint a large number of targets with homing missiles. You can have the option to get teeny ships, which are little side helpers that add to your firepower. And it's actually a way of building up your stockpiles to improve your ship. So it's kind of a nice little additional side quest if you find yourself getting a little bit bored with the main story. Unfortunately, there's one thing with the game that kind of becomes very, very dull and very, very straightforward. And this is one of the things that have been posted on the boards. I understand that a lot of people have been saying that the original was full of button mashing. I understand that, I know it. This one still has essentially the same features. However, the reason why it's a lot more focused on the button mashing than the first quest is because the first quest you actually needed magic or summons to help you out with certain bosses, like Ursula or the Trickmaster, to weaken them or to give yourself an easier time. You don't need that in this game. In fact, you can literally just pound on the X button from the opening sequence through the end boss and never ever have to use any offensive magic, any summons, any limits, or any drive attacks once. This brings me to a very important point, which is that the game does not scale its difficulty level the farther along in the game as you go. At the beginning, you have the ability to commit maybe 3-hit combos at the best. By the end of the game, however, you're committing at least 6 to 8-hit combos on every single attack, plus potentially adding area damage effect to any enemy around you. The enemies, on the other hand, the Heartless, the Nobodies, and a lot of the other creatures that you will wind up fighting, don't ever increase their skills or increase their health significantly. So you're essentially slaughtering hundreds and hundreds of enemies with very little effort. This also brings me to one of the other points that I haven't really seen addressed in emails or on the boards, which is that this is supposed to be an action RPG. Unfortunately, with the heavy balance towards action this time around, there are very little RPG elements. The game is extraordinarily linear, there's very little exploration that you need to do, and tasks that you might originally expect to find in an RPG really are not there, meaning the only thing that you are having that is of the RPG element is gaining levels for your party and essentially managing parties within each world, which you can swap out on the fly. Doesn't really mean that it is an RPG game. It's more like a Dungeon Warriors clone with the Kingdom Hearts genre and universe glommed onto it. In sum, part of the problem with Kingdom Hearts 2 is kind of like receiving a very shiny, very elaborately wrapped package after waiting for 4 years in eager anticipation. It's going to look great, and it's going to feel like an exceptional thing to have in your hands. However, once you open that package and you start to really get used to what is in that box, you realize that you're not exactly getting what you were anticipating or what you were hoping for. That's part of the problem. The hardcore fans are going to love this, you're probably going to have it anyway, and who knows, you'll probably wind up sending me a lot more email and a few more posts on the board. For those of you that are new to the series or possibly on the fence, you might want to rent this one first.